So much to this short video about what makes a good abstract for workshops at the SESAM conferences. So who are we? Kirsty, please introduce yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Kirsty Freeman and I'm an Associate Professor at the Rural Clinical School in Western Australia, and I have recently been elected as the SESAM Secretary. How about you? Sigrun, do you want to tell us who you are?
Yep, my name is Sigrun Finnesland. I live and work in Stavanger, Norway. I am the regional lead for simulation in Western Norway, and I'm in the core scientific committee at SESAM. So Kirsty, what is the aim of this video?
Well, I think everyone should know that Sigrun and I are pretty invested in workshops at the SESAM conference, and we wanted to help as many people as possible present incredible abstracts. So abstracts reviewers and as SESAM members, we want to see people's best work presented at our conference. So we wanted to put together a bit of a video to help you sell yourself. So I'm curious though, Sigrun, when you think of a great workshop, what comes to mind?
Right, so to juxtapose from presentations, a workshop has to have creativity, interactivity, energy, focus. You want to bring out what the participants know, their experiences, co-create things. Has to be very sensible, good educational design and a flow, constructive alignment, but also just in general, well-planned, enjoyable, and an enriching activity. So our abstract has
Really
headings.
interesting.
Let's look at the title, Kirsty.
Okay, so when you go through and you start to submit your workshop submission, the first thing you need to type in is the title. And I always encourage people to have something that is a little bit catchy. This is the first thing that people are going to see when they're deciding to come to your workshop and when the reviewer starts reviewing your abstract. So start with a catchy title. Make sure it is descriptive enough so that participants have an idea as to what your session might be. And the only other thing I do encourage people to do is do think about those people that have English as another language. Just make sure you're not, having a title that people might not understand if English isn't their first language. So then I think next on the form would be introduction and aims. What would you sort of put down there, Sigrun?
The introduction has to catch us. It has to convince us and give us background and relevance. Why is this workshop being run? Why did the people who developed it? What needs is it going to meet? So a little bit of context is nice, and background, and also include the keywords. And the aims, this is just the main overarching aim for the workshop. Some kind of verbs like you will explore, experience, exchange, apply, something overarching. That's the overarching. Then we have to go into the intended learning outcomes. This is crucial for a good workshop. Kirsty, what do you think?
Yeah, it really is, particularly when I'm reviewing people's submissions for a workshop. I'm looking for those active verbs. And I definitely encourage people to use SMART goals. And for those that aren't sure, that is looking at goals. When you're writing them, they need to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to the workshop, but also time bound. Because remember, our workshops are only 90 minutes long. So therefore, when you're thinking about the number of intended learning outcomes that you're writing on your submission, don't get too many. Remember, you've only got 90 minutes for a workshop. So you need to really think about what knowledge is going to be gained, what skills are going to be gained, or what general competencies or attitudes you're going to give the participants the experience of. And then the next section is one of the most important. So Sigrun, how would you suggest someone approach that description section?
Right. So we're looking for we were looking for a description that really reflects planning, good planning. How are you going to use those precious 90 minutes? Break down the 90 minutes, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 20 minutes there, 25 minutes there, and a wrap up with 10, 15 minutes. So clear structure, realistic time allocation given your intended learning outcomes, and show us the activity level of the participants. Workshops have more activity than more of a passive kind of listening to a presentation. So show us that, a really good session breakdown. And then we just
Yeah,
want
it really is that opportunity, isn't it, to showcase your skills as an educator. How would you, plan this session?
Mhm.
And there is a bit of an overlap, I think, with the next section in the workshop abstract, which is your educational methods. So sometimes there's a little bit of duplication here as to what people might have written in their description section. But I encourage people, I find what's good here is just using dot points. So use some dot points and really indicate the interactive nature. So it might be that there's going to be a demonstration, or we're going to divide and have some small group work. You might talk about role playing, or you're going to use some VR aspects. So I really encourage people just to dot point here. What are the examples of interaction, large or small group dynamics? And don't stress if you are duplicating what you might have written in the section above.
Mhm. And then the next heading title is the expected impact. And I like to think of this, if participants have gone to your workshop, when they leave your workshop and they return to work, how will this workshop help them do an even better job at work?
Yeah.
So what is the expected impact? And also think that maybe participants' bosses might be reading these abstract descriptions and deciding whether or not to allow people to attend the conference. So think about that with the expected impact. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The other thing I find people tend to look at as well when they're looking at the program, and the target audience is really important. So think about who you're really aiming your workshop towards. What type of participants would benefit the most? So, for example, are you having a workshop that is tailored towards more people that are managers or administrators in simulation? Or are you looking at those that are designing curriculum and facilitators? And remembering that we do have quite a broad audience of attendees at SESAM. So there is a plethora of people there. So how are they going to pick whether this suits them?
And according to the audience, following up a little bit, you have to think about the heading we asked for, level. Is it beginner, introductory, intermediate people are expecting to come, or advanced? And again, you can only put it out there and people will tend, depending on if they think it's interesting, but still have that in mind when you're designing it. But also about the participants, Kirsty. How many can you take? What do you think about that?
Yeah. So think about what is realistic for your workshop, and, for example, how many facilitators you have. Remembering that we're wanting workshops to be engaging and interactive. And so you need to make sure to be realistic with yourself and kind to yourself. If you have this number of faculty, how many people can you actually take? Now, for example, you might have just one or two people. Can you really run an interactive workshop? And what we do when we're examining your abstract submissions, we look at what you said you were going to do, the number of faculty you have. So how many, we're looking to make sure that there's that constructive alignment all the way through. You might find, however, that the style of your workshop means that you're not limited necessarily by participant facilitator ratio, that it might just be space. And so you can just write in your submission, depending on room availability. And therefore, the conference organisers will look at that.
Yeah. And then rounding up a little bit, thank you for that. It's the keywords. We just want the content words, the main themes for your workshop. And these again should align with the title and the learning objectives, etc. And back to the practical aspects, Kirsty, the next heading.
So you need to remember that often CSAM's conferences are held in more convention centre type environments. So I mean, some of the equipment that you might need when you have the section on your workshop abstract, what equipment you require, this is what you need the organisers to provide. Remember, we're not at a simulation centre, we're probably in a conference venue. So, but it's things like you might need flip charts, you might need a projector or a microphone, so that you can engage with people. Often, if there anything is specific than that, presenters might bring some stuff themselves. We can't normally guarantee printing and all that sort of stuff, but it's just equipment requests. So the more that you can put in here, we can make sure that we can accommodate it at the convention centre.
Right, really good advice. And then wrapping it up, it's the references. This is a scientific program. It's a conference. We should be preparing workshops that are also based on some kind of theories, models, concepts, and try and have the references there for the main topics, the main conceptual ideas in the workshop. Yes.
Yeah. So that's sort of taken us through the various components of the workshop abstract template that you'll find when you log on to the website. And the only other words of wisdom that I have is just remember to have a look about the theme of the conference. So make sure that as you're writing your submission, it always comes back to what is the theme of the conference for that year, because the conference organising committee have really spent some time thinking, how is your session going to contribute to that? How about you? Is there any last minute thoughts that we can share with people, Sigrun?
Enjoyable, learning, active. Just these are the things that are in my mind with workshops. And good luck writing your abstracts. And we hope this helps with the design and writing. All right, hope to see you at SESAM. Bye-bye.